What's going on, YouTube? This is Rybo back at the bench today, and this time I've got a pretty special cut or carry watch review. This is the baby, if you can believe it, the baby Tuna. So the Seiko baby Tuna. This is not, sadly, not my watch. This is my buddy Russ's watch. He sent me a bunch of stuff to check out, and so I have gotten the pleasure of wearing this bad boy. And I know what you're already thinking. If you've watched one of my watch reviews before, how in the world did he get this on his tiny wrists? But I did, and I'll show it in a second. But this is the baby Tuna. I forget the model number of this. I'm sure it's an SR something, 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 something. I'll put it somewhere in the description or something. This is a freaking huge watch. It is incredibly tooly. It is really, really distinctive. It is, I think, what every Invicta wants to be. But this is a very interesting watch. 4R36 movement, so same as you've got in the SRP Turtles. And these are no longer being made. So this is a pretty rare watch these days, and I think it's going for over 600 bucks maybe. I recently had the chance, well, I actually didn't have, never mind, it fell through. I thought I was gonna be able to pick one of these up at a good price, but didn't happen. Anyway, I digress. Let me go ahead and do a quick size comparison and we will get into the review. First of all, up against my, my Blue Lagoon SRP Turtle. So you can see, really large watch. I think this comes in at like 48-50 millimeters. Which is massive. You can see, I mean, it's not ridiculously large. Like when you look at it up against a turtle, it's not that much bigger. But that outer shroud there, the tuna can, just really adds a lot of thickness, but also a lot of tooliness. So there's that. And then I'll show it really quick up against the an SKX. And it pretty well dwarfs the SKX. But again, it's a very large watch. It's not crazy big. So there's a quick size comparison. Side note too, this is not the stock bracelet, obviously. This is just a 22 millimeter shark mesh type thing that I got in a sale or trade or something I had laying around. First thing that I could find that fit this watch, so I just kind of threw it on there. So just heads up on that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into things that I like and dislike. I'm probably going to be holding this watch for the majority of the time. This bracelet, I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't lay flat, so I can't really get like a good angle to lay this guy down. So I'll probably just be holding it for the most part. All right, so things that I like and dislike about the Seiko Baby Tuna. So first of all, things that I like, the name is awesome. Baby Tuna, this is one of the largest watches that I've ever worn, maybe the largest. So the Baby Tuna part's pretty awesome. So things that I like, first of all, it's incredibly tooly. It's just got a lot of stuff going on, not a ton of symmetry. Lots of gouges and chunks missing out of the shroud over here, and it's kind of like the Monster in that respect. And that does add some utility, but it's just got a lot of stuff going on, and that can go really wrong, or it can go really right. And I think on this watch in particular, because of the flatness of that crystal and that bezel there, and because of the otherwise kind of industrial look of that shroud that goes around there, and the depth of that dial, which I'm not sure if I can get in the picture there, but that dial has a lot of depth to it as well. I think it really works. It is a really cool watch. I think also because you've just got a flat color dial there. It's nothing too crazy. It's monochromatic, but it's a lot going on, and so I think those things really work. This would not work in some kind of loud color or with a competing color bezel. I think it would just be way overdone, but black and white with a lot of stainless steel here, I think is awesome. So I think visually, you know, it's a lot, it's big, but I think it really works. At least it does for me. Let's see, what else I want to talk. Oh, the movement is great, of course, hacking, hand winding, and all of that. So movement is kind of tried and true. I really like the indices. So that's one of the things, it's like, it's not the first thing you notice, but as you're wearing it, I think the indices are just super, super nice. They're big, they're chunky, they're simple. I like the fact that they are not dot indices here. It goes with the watch. I think it really does. I love the fact that it has this almost like monster style bezel out here with the 15-30-45. I think again, it's I don't know, it fits the watch to me. It's big numbers that are, you know, actually kind of debossed into that bezel, just adding a lot more dimension, but there's just like 1,000 layers of dimension to this. So I think that's really cool. I find the bezel to be very nice, maybe a little bit too, not loose, because it's not like it looks like there's back play there, but I'm really just moving it forward, but it might be a little bit easy to advance. I do have one issue with the bezel later, but I think overall, on a watch that you can only access, you know, part of the bezel to turn, I think that it turns very nicely, and it's a nice feeling there. This may sound silly, but I love that there's no magnifier on here. I think that could be something that you would be tempted to do on a watch like this, to just add more to it. And I'm thinking specifically of like the Patty Monster here. I think that would really detract from it. So I'm glad that they just went with a very flat crystal there. I think that's perfect. I don't think you would want to do any kind of domed or anything like that. I think that nice flat crystal works really, really well. I love the 4 o'clock crown. It's one of my favorite things about Seiko divers, and they're not all like that. The new 5KX ones, is it the 5KX? I can't remember. I think it's the 5KX, maybe not. Anyway, the 4 o'clock crown is great. I love it when a diver has a 4 o'clock crown, so that's pretty awesome. And especially on a bigger watch like this, and I'll go ahead and make you all laugh by throwing this on the wrist, but especially on a watch like this, I think that works really well, because it's going to be a little bit bigger. And if that was on the 3 o'clock right there, that would really be digging into the wrist. But so look at this on my wrist. So another thing I love about this watch is it's ridiculously large, right? And I mean, it looks really big on my wrist, but not really. I mean, like, it does, but because of this lug to lug being pretty squat and short, and honestly, that's one of the things that I love about the Turtle. Because of that, the lugs don't overhang your wrist. And so a guy like me can get away with wearing kind of a ridiculously large watch like this, and it doesn't look too crazy. I think that I could get away with that, and I think that's really, really sweet. So big fan of the way that this wears. To be such a big watch, it doesn't have quite as much of the negative wrist presence that you may expect. Cleaning that crystal off. I think that looks really fantastic. So nice squat, lug to lug. I will just contend that is the key to finding a watch for your wrist. It's not necessarily about the diameter of the watch, it is more about that lug to lug. So I really like that. I mean, this watch is all kind of tuna can, right? It's just little tiny lugs out here. So that's awesome. Other things that I like, obviously love the fact that you've got your great wave back there. And I love the big hands. I don't have my flashlight, of course. I literally took it out of my pocket to come out here and film reviews. But the loom on here is really excellent, and I love the large hands here. These are, I think, the same handset that the Samurai uses, and I don't love it on the Samurai, but I really love it here. I think it really fits the aesthetic of the watch. Really easy to see. This is just a tool watch. It is the tooliest of tool watches, and I love it. So that's awesome. All right, other things that I like, that may be about it. Oh, drilled lugs. Drilled lugs are awesome, and more watches should have them. So there you go. All right, let's see. I think that's about it. Let's go to things that I don't like. And this will be a pretty short list. It might just be one or two things. So the bezel here can be very difficult to access. And it's because you have this shroud on the outside, which gives you access only to half of that bezel there. And then only gives you access here and here, which I like. I do like the protection. I mean, if the idea behind the baby tuna here is that it's going to get beat up and dinged and hit and you don't want that bezel moving, that totally makes sense. But because you're giving access only to those 2 points right there, which again, that makes sense that those are right there, you're only able to even access a small part of that bezel. And it can be kind of difficult to get good kind of grip on it. And so instead of being able to turn the bezel all the way around, I can just turn it in little increments, and it's just a little bit difficult to grab onto. And so, you know, I understand it, it makes sense with the watch, but it is a little bit difficult practically. Other things than that, the only other thing that I noticed with this watch is that the spring bar, or the lugs here are drilled pretty close to the case, or at least to the shroud. And you know, I'm gonna say I prefer this over the alternative, because I think the alternative is that you have a much larger watch here, where your lugs aren't as close to the case, and therefore it wears a lot larger. I would much prefer it to be like this, but one negative side effect to that is that it's going to be a little picky on what you can wear this on. So not all of your NATOs are going to work on there, for example, and you're probably going to be a little bit limited in bracelet options. But one thing to consider, again, I prefer it to the alternative, but it is one thing to consider. Other than that, I love this watch. This is a strong carry. I saw this years ago first, and I kind of laughed it off because I have smaller wrists, and this is just a chunky beast of a watch. But man, do I wish I would have gone back and purchased one. This is an awesome watch. I love it. I would wear it. I'm gonna keep my eyes out for them. They are very difficult to find, and they're really going up in price. But I see why. I mean, this is an awesome watch. I hope that one day they re-release some version of it. So carry for me, big time fan. Except for the fact that this dumb bracelet won't sit flat. Ooh, there we go. All right, not touching anything, gonna go off camera. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.